Right. Hi, Kim. Hi, mommy. How are you? So I'm just okay. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Great. Okay.
Yes, we can see you.
Nice. Thank you, Fadzi. So, yeah, today we want to just wrap up the retirement discussion that we've been having throughout this month. And to really wrap it up, then we want to look at the retirement numbers. And I'm actually happy that we have Mario here. Mario is a financial planner. So it would be good that he can actually respond to some of the practical questions that we may have. As you know, I am an educator. I'm not a financial planner. And so it is always a good thing when an expert is in the room. So I'm grateful. Thank you, Mario, for joining. So to get us started, I will not really introduce myself. I believe we know each other. But I have this question which I want to hear the answer from you guys. And if you want, you can unmute and just say yes or no. You can even type in the chat box because I want to know if you intend to retire. And why I ask is because recently I've actually had this realization that not everyone is supposed to retire or is meant to retire or wants to retire. Some people actually enjoy what they do. I've seen university lecturers who keep lecturing until they die. They actually leave their 9 to 5 jobs or 8 to 5 jobs to get to lecturing. Or pastors, you find them, they do not even intend to retire. So I got to that point of understanding that if you do what you really love, sometimes you don't have to retire. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you intend to retire? And I see everyone's like, yes, yes. Blantina says from my job, but not from work. Okay. Yeah, quite exciting, really, because we do not necessarily have to retire. So moving on, I was looking at this when I was just preparing the slides, and I said sometimes when we are not prepared to retire, we end up having to work every day of our lives until we die, and not necessarily doing what we love, but just so that we can make ends meet. And those that are not prepared, they don't have enough funds to cover, especially their medical expenses. And as you grow older, the medical expenses become the second biggest expense in your life. And especially so if you retire and are still in debt. And this you would find when we have mortgages. You have a mortgage, because sometimes we're so blind when we sign up for these things. We're like 30 years and we forget that in 30 years time you will be 60 or you'll be 70, and you want to retire at 55. So by that time you are still in debt. And if you're not prepared, you will be depending on your children for upkeep. And I was listening to another video where the girl was really struggling. I think it was a video from Kenya, and the lady was like, I have my own burdens to take care of, financial burdens, and I'm still having to take care of of others. So really, if you're not prepared, that's what happens, and you have to keep looking for jobs. So I was looking at these two pictures. The man, very elderly, you would want this guy to be resting, but he has to work to make ends meet. The same as this lady. You can imagine walking into Pick n Pay and you find this elderly lady, and imagine it's you in your 80s because you can't afford to retire. And then I also saw this other side where I felt these guys are actually prepared. So they are both happy. They continue doing what they love. The other one is a porter, the other one is a fisherman. So when you do what you love, you may not need to retire. And you may actually continue to earn money from your passion. You become healthier, there's no stress and no stress-related illnesses. You become a pleasure to be around. You can imagine when you don't have money, I think people just actually wish they could not be coming into contact with you too much. They would rather keep a distance. And when you're prepared, you have a fulfilled life. So really, I think we need to have this picture. Imagine Spiwe, I see Spiwe here. Imagine the porter being Spiwe, very happy, loving what she's doing. And I can also imagine Fortune spending his time fishing, maybe helping his grandchildren to fish, you know, in his old age. So yeah, anyway, let us get started. So in this session, we really want to look at the numbers. And to those who have joined us, I was introducing Mario, who is a financial planner and is here with us today. And so feel free if you have any other questions that you may have at the end of the presentation, he will be able to respond. So to get us started, when we talk of these numbers, we have retirement experts who have offered various rules of thumb about how much you need to save. And you hear some who say somewhere near $1 million US is what you need to save before you can retire. Or some will say between 80 and 90% of your annual pre-retirement income, that's what you need to have stashed aside before you can comfortably retire. Some will talk of 12 times your pre-retirement salary. Others will say 25 times your current annual expenses. And the examples go on and on and on and on. But then how much do you think you need? So this one, I'm going to pause again for a moment and just hear from you guys how much you think you need for you to say, now I can retire. You saw the images I was just showing. For you to be happy in your retirement, how much do you think you would need? And I want you to just type in the chat box. I'll stop sharing for now so I can see what is in the chat box. Now I can't get to my video. I don't even know where it is. Okay, let me stop sharing. How much do you think you will need in retirement? I don't see anything in the chat box. If you also have a figure that you know, maybe that you just feel, I think because sometimes you actually opt for early retirement, right? You're like, if I manage to get 2 million by the time I'm 40, what's the point of keeping on waking up and going to work? At that point, I can retire. So do you have an amount in your head that you've ever thought of and say, maybe when I get to this amount, I can gladly or safely retire? Anything? Okay. I don't see any responses. I would be quick to assume that people haven't really thought about this one. So let me not wait. But if you still have your amount, you can just share. I will look at it at the end because I can't see when I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So we did talk about the different theories that are there that people say, okay, maybe when you reach 12 times and things like that. But I want to introduce the 4% rule, this one, which is widely accepted. Not to say that everyone appreciates this one. You will hear studies that are also against this one, but I think it gives us like a simple guideline of where we should be when we are to look at numbers. So the 4% rule someone asked me during the week and said, what is the 4% rule? Because it was on one of on the picture that I sent out on Wednesday. And I said I would get into it in more detail on Sunday. So I hope she's here. But the 4% rule is just a guideline used by some financial planners and retirees to estimate a comfortable but safe income for retirement. It's focused on preparing for retirement at age 65. So that's to say, because these are based on several factors. So it's to say, if you are to retire at age 65, and you make your retirement savings, they can last you for 30 years or more, up to 50 years. And what I loved about the up to 50 years part is that you can actually then leave an inheritance, because at 65, the assumption is that it can last 30 more years. That by then you are 95 and you still have 50 more years to go. So you can actually be spending your money until you die. And it suggests that retirees can safely withdraw 4% of their savings during the year they retire and adjust for inflation. I can hear some background noise, so please mute yourselves. Mute your mic. It suggests that you can then withdraw 4% of your savings during the year that you retire, and then you adjust for inflation each subsequent year for 30 years. And I said, or more. And also it has the assumption that you are investing your money on the stock market and in the bonds market. So it's a very simple method, but may become outdated by the time we retire, who knows? And also it's not supported by everyone, as I said. And it emanates from the 25 times rule. The 25 times rule was where I'm saying you need to save 25 times your current annual expenses. So when you're looking at your annual expenses, and really that's where when we look at your annual expenses, we're saying, what are you spending, not what you are earning. It could be a starting point, but how much you spend every month times 12 times 25. Then that's where we say that is a safety net, and then you can actually withdraw 4% of that. But especially if you are in this country of Zimbabwe, it may be very difficult to be putting your money in a financial institution. And so there are several other places that you can, and we'll look at that in a bit. So how much to save for retirement? There's no one correct answer, because several factors come into play. And the first one being your current age. So how much I'm going to need and how much my mother is going to need, as an example, are different because of our age. So my current age and the age at which you plan to retire or could be forced to retire, because sometimes even if you do not want to retire, sometimes you will have to be forced due to circumstances beyond your control. And it could be poor health, it could be a job loss, anything can happen, disability, things like that, and then you have to stop working. How much you are to save will also be determined by how long you expect to live. This is very difficult because we do not know. We do not know how long we are to live for. But according to the studies that are done, they then say, look at your family history. How old was your grandfather or grandmother when she or he passed on? And that could be an indicator, of course, not by accident, but when you say, this person is now old and has died of old age, so that can be an indicator of how long you also can live. And then we look at how much you plan to spend in retirement. And why I'm saying you start from the current is because you look at your current expenditure. You want to maintain that kind of life in retirement. You don't want to become poorer, can I say, or you don't want to be in a worse situation than you are already. And then you make adjustments, because when you're older, probably you won't have school fees to worry about. You will probably not need high rentals, and probably you'll be having your own house. So those factors also come into play. And you're also looking at what other sources of income you will be getting. So maybe besides your pension, your state pension, where else will your money be coming from? If you have these savings that you're putting aside, where else will your money be coming from? You will probably at that point sell your home, or you will have an inheritance, things like that. So these are the factors that determine how much you are to save for retirement. And then we'll also look at where you can invest your retirement money, because this is a long-term investment, and it's very easy if it's if you keep it, let's say, in a under the pillow. It's very easy when an emergency strikes and you rush and you just get the money. So in the end, you will not see it, you will not see the value of it. But then there are a couple of options, and I will just go through these ones. Maybe Mario will also then help with more. But we talk of pension schemes, and this can be self-initiated. This is where you approach maybe a pension fund of your choice, and then you want to invest in it. Or it could be a workplace initiated pension, it could be a state pension, and you can also invest your money in stocks and bonds, as I mentioned. And if you are, especially in Zimbabwe, probably you're looking at offshore investments, where you feel probably the funds are safer. We also look at real estate, and real estate, we look at rental property, a very good asset to invest your retirement money in, because here you can at least maintain the value. Also gold, we know gold coins, because gold doesn't fluctuate like the currency that we have, or fiat currency. You know, it maintains value. And lastly, we talk of annuities. And annuities, this is when we have insurance products, where we have your Sanlams, your Old Mutual, where they sell an insurance product. They insure your life, so in the event of death, they will pay out a lump sum or things like that. And then but you don't have to miss a payment. I had to put that there because I once contributed to an annuity, and because I was now struggling to pay, I had debt all over and I was struggling to pay it. And they will not pay you. Like, if you have missed, you have to start afresh, and that money that you've been investing, you lose it. So this one, you really need to be prepared for it mentally, and you should like be disciplined to be paying every month for you to reap the benefits. And lastly, I just want to end by saying, when it comes to financial issues, really we need to seek the advice of an independent financial planner or a retirement expert before committing your funds. Why I say independent is because if you are to approach, say you want to put your money in Old Mutual, and you approach a financial planner in Old Mutual, it's more likely that they're going to really sell their product, because that's where their bread is buttered. But you want someone who's independent, who's not getting anything out of this, to help you to make these decisions. Start early. You know, we need to start early. They said that the best time to plant a tree was yesterday or last year, but the next best is today. So start to invest early. It's never too late, but you also don't want to keep waiting, and do your homework. That's what I was saying. So here's also to say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I think I've always emphasized this when we talk of investments. You do not want to put all your eggs, let's say all your money in buying gold, or you don't want to put all of your retirement funds in an annuity, or you put all your retirement funds in index trackers. So you want to diversify. Be aware of the tax implications, and especially if you are to withdraw these retirement funds before they mature, you're likely to be taxed heavily. So you also need to know and be aware of the tax implications of early withdrawal. And especially in the working class, like myself, where we are having to be changing jobs once every 3 or once every 5 years, make sure you reinvest your retirement savings. It's so easy that when you get your retirement savings from one job, you chow all the money. By the time you get to a new job, you are starting afresh, right? So always a good thing also to reinvest retirement savings. So I'm going to stop here and allow discussions. I should have actually stopped sharing. Stop sharing, and then I can also check the okay. So some of these are some responses, I think, on how much we need to retire. Said minimum of 2 million rand in assets. That's Ola. It's true. And then Fortune is saying not really, but would then need to retire when my monthly passive income reaches 1,000 US dollars. That's nice, when your passive income gets to that level. Yeah, he feels he can retire. But yes, I've come to the end of my presentation, but I want us to have these discussions going on. As I've mentioned earlier, we have Mario with us. And so if you have any questions, he will be very happy to respond to those. So let me actually see who is on the, I don't know why I'm struggling to see. But Mario, maybe as we wait for the questions to come in, do you have anything to add on to this discussion on retirement, and especially to emphasize the importance of retirement, seeing that time is flying. Over to you, Mario.
Sure. Yeah, just to answer the question in terms of how much is enough, or how much money do I have to have if I go into retirement. I think it's quite important for you to, know these three important questions that you need to answer. Like, for example, do I have enough money to maintain my current lifestyle and do the things that I want to do if I go into retirement? And the second question that you need to answer for yourself is, have I paid off all my debts?
Yeah.
And do I have enough money to pay higher medical bills? Because remember, if you work, for example, for a private company, then you go into retirement or early retirement, you lose that medical benefit unless you are perhaps working in the government. So it's important to answer those three questions before you decide as to how much I need. And it's quite a complex questions, because it involves quite a lot of factors that needs to be considered, especially when you are nearing retirement, because you need to decide now, where do you want to live when you go into retirement? Because if you choose to go live in a neighborhood that is quite expensive, then it means that you should have quite a big chunk of pension fund money saved somewhere. But if you know that you haven't saved enough, then you should consider trying to stay in an area where it's affordable. And you should also consider that, as there's always going to be negatives. There's always going to be people that are going to assist here and there. So you should also look into those things, plus the medical bills and so forth. So it's always important to know that. And to answer really the question of how much do I need, the simple answer will be as much as you can. So put aside as much money as you can and try to live a frugal lifestyle.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mario. And I think those are really important points there. And I've just put that in the chat box also for those who missed them. But make sure you have enough money to maintain your current lifestyle. Make sure you have paid off all your debts, and make sure you have money to pay your medical bills, or to just continue on whatever medical fund you've been. And yes, that's a comment, a reaction from Ola. Says, thanks, Mario. Indeed, thank you. And really, this is one other thing, Mario, that I've also noticed, that when people retire and are not prepared, it's very not easy, but you hear that this one has died. Like it takes a toll on them, because really coming out of the workplace has a lot, I think, that it does to people. And especially when you now do not have those networks that you used to have at work, we kind of take those things for granted. And this is one thing I've also realized, and even talking to one elderly lady who said to me, you don't realize that when you leave the workplace, you don't have those networks. At work, you can easily say to someone, can you please lend me $50? I'll give you back at the end of the month. That is no longer there, you know. So yes, we need to be prepared and have our little pocket, or our big big pocket with money to sustain us for the rest of our retirement. I do not want us to miss this opportunity to ask Mario, because when he is in his office, he charges handsomely. So I would really have wanted you guys to take advantage of his presence here. Are there any questions, concerns, reactions, maybe before we come to the end of this presentation? Feel free to unmute if you want to ask directly. Okay, it looks like everyone is happy. So guys, I think we've come to the end of this presentation. I also want to probably just take this opportunity to encourage us to get a copy of this book if you don't have it. In there also, there are some important nuggets. Of course, I'm the one who wrote it, but I actually feel that there are quite some important nuggets that you will find from this book. This is my second book, The Wealth Builders Toolkit, as you build your retirement fund. Thank you. So thank you so much for joining. We will have another Zoom session next month in September. Otherwise, have a lovely remainder of the weekend. Thank you so much for joining. Let me just acknowledge those on the call. Blantina, Fadzi, Fiona, Fortu, Juliet, Ola, Pele, that's Sepo, Pele, and Tawanda. Yes, and thank you, Nyari, for bringing in some experts. It spices the discussion. Thank you for Chu, and Blantina says thank you both. So thank you so much. We will meet again. I see messages keep coming. Thank you for the insightful lesson. This is Fadzi. Thanks so much for your time. That's Ola, Pele. Thank you for the lessons. Yes, thank you so much. And thank you also for joining in. It makes the whole thing worthwhile. Mario, thank you so much. We'll keep in touch. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.